Canada curious? This is the Yes We Canada podcast, the progressive's guide to getting the fuck out. This episode is called Parlez-Vous Canadian? Eh?
Hi, I'm Matt Zimble in Montreal.
And I'm Mio Edelman in Toronto. So, you want to immigrate to Canada, eh? That's great. Welcome. Bienvenue.
You know, we need more people up here, Mio, because...
What's that?
Well, we're not fucking very often here, and not to put too fine a point on it, we're running out of folks.
Is that
the
your
birth rate in
pitch?
Canada,
That's your immigration pitch?
We're running out of folks.
Okay, well, assuming you want to come to Canada, assuming you want to immigrate, and I hope you are going to because this entire podcast is all about that, let's look at your chances. Over the past 20 years, roughly 235,000 new immigrants come to Canada every year. And the current Liberal government has taken that number up to 300,000 people per year. But there's a lot of criteria to get by the bureaucrat bouncer at the Canadian immigration rope line, because Canada is a disco. If you're between 18 and 54, language is an important factor for your approval. To successfully immigrate to Canada, get this, you have to speak and understand either English or French at what's called level 4. That's it. It's just called level 4. For about 80% of immigrants to Canada, English or French is not their mother tongue. So with level 4, you could understand a grocery list, but not a doctoral thesis. And can I just say, as a native English speaker myself, that most doctoral theses, and I've fallen asleep reading a few, are written in a pseudo-intellectual style we call contemporary wankage, or in French, check my pronunciation here, wankage contemporain.
That sounds fantastic.
Which I think sounds smarter, right?
Everything sounds smarter in French, Mio.
Exactly. Especially even wanking. Please don't feel excluded if you don't understand the thesis. You weren't meant to. Only other ascot-wearing academics sipping a glass of claret could possibly understand it. And the truth is, you'll usually find more compelling writing on a grocery list. As an American, this language proficiency test should be a slam dunk for you, but after watching a couple of episodes of Duck Dynasty, we may need to hedge our bets.
Can't understand a word he says. There ain't no doubt in my mind. She'll straighten that boy out.
Look, first of all, once your papers for immigration are deemed in order, and people in government love process, you will have to have a personal interview with a Canadian immigration officer. And I would highly recommend that you do not say fuck followed by pardon my French at the interview. It's not French, it's English. In fact, the French don't even think of fuck as a bad word. I mean, you can read it in family newspapers quite regularly on the front page. And Francophone Quebecers, a verb-loving people, have even figured out a way to conjugate fuck. They turn it into fucké, which means all screwed up. Tabarnak, le patente est tout fucké. Now, the translation there is, damn, the thing is all fucked up. Now, for those of you who are sticklers for grammar, fucké is fuck in its subjunctive, future interior, past tense, feminine form. How's that for academic authority?
Matt, you're becoming an academic yourself. You could write a paper on the conjugation of the word fucké. Up here,
you know what? Before we get there, though, Mio, I just want to tell you one thing. That there's a fascinating thing about that phrase, tabernacle, le patente et tout fucké, because most of those words are also English words. Tabernacle is, of course, the tabernacle from the church, and all the Quebec swear words are actually religious words.
Sacrement.
Exactly, which talks about the relationship that Quebecers have with the Roman Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. Very tentative. And the word patente is the American word patent.
Yeah.
And the reason that the French use it like that is because when things were being invented, there were not always words for these things in French. A lot of these American inventions were coming into the country. And so on the other side of each widget or whatever, there would be the word patent, right? Patent pending. And so the French thought that was, they just called it a patente. So, tabernacle patente tout fucké, that's the origin of that phrase.
Should we also tell people that there is another meaning for the word fuck in
That's
Quebec,
a very
perhaps?
good idea. Go for that.
In French, the word fuck also means seal, as in the North Pole animal that lies on an iceberg. Exactly. That's it. So you might also confuse the immigration officer, who might think that a seal is in the airport somewhere. We could go on. However, up here, we have what you call Canadian English, and, of course, it's based on British English. The British used to be our masters, our overlords, when they ganged up with the French and stole the lands owned and operated by the indigenous peoples. So up here, we spell things differently than you. We pronounce things differently than you, and we expect that once you arrive, find a place to crash and get a gig, you'll respect our spelling.
We also punctuate differently than you. For example, as a modest, quiet, humble people, we rarely use exclamation points. Way too showy. Mio, I have a language issue specific to the podcast that I want to address on today's podcast.
Okay.
I was listening to last week's show, doing the what we call the quality control check, after the mix, just to make sure that everything's together, blah, blah, blah. And I was listening, and I got kind of a bit horrified by myself, because I thought, every single time I voice an American character dialect on this show, a show that we created for progressives, I used a very pronounced Southern accent, and let's just say, not the gracious, elegant accent of the South. I used the Southern accent from a sketchy trailer park from Mitch McConnellville in downtown Tennessee.
It's not cat on a hot tin roof.
That's right. This has to be obnoxious. And I feel bad. I feel like I've been rude. I feel like I've been unfeeling. And
oh, Jesus Christ.
No, and I want to apologize. You guys in the States, you're traumatized by pandemics, by white trash capital insurrections, by Lindsey Graham.
And ice storms.
And ice storms, that's true. And every time I role play American, I make you sound like Honey Boo Boo's baby daddy. No wonder our listenership in Canada is so large. But I'm going to make a promise of performance right now. And my promise of performance for this show is I will not be speaking hillbilly anymore on today's program. Respect.
Oh, wow. You're going on a hillbilly diet.
That's right. Hillbilly light.
Matt, I think you're being a little too, hard on yourself. I've personally heard you do Midwest accents, New Jersey hoodlum, and New York cab driver.
You're very kind, but that was not a cab driver. It was an intellectual.
Someone call NYU.
That's what professors are doing now in this. That's what associate adjunct professors are doing now in the States.
Oh, they're driving cab on the weekend. So letters in our alphabet, yes, our alphabet, are pronounced differently. Actually, just one, the last one. Your Z is our Z. And this is crucial because once you get here and decide you want to start identifying as a Canadian, say Z as in zoo, Z-O-O, and boom, you just outed yourself as a Yank.
So, Mio, to bring our progressives through a few crucial linguistic points and Canadian expressions, I've created a true or false quiz, and I'd like you to take it because you're our guinea pig. Are you feeling good?
It's on my schedule. That was a terrible British accent.
It's schedule.
Very good. It's on my schedule.
Just to let you know how arrogant Americans are, when I first got up to Canada from New York and I heard a Canadian national news anchor pronounce it schedule, I was like a 12-year-old American child punk. I thought I caught the professional announcer making a mistake. That's how arrogant we are as Americans.
Wow.
Yeah. I caught him. He said schedule when he should have said schedule.
Holy shit.
Okay, you ready for your exam?
Let's do it.
Okay. Question number 1. You are a clerk in a Canadian store. A customer makes a purchase. Following the transaction, the customer says, "Thank you." You say, "Uh-huh, son bitch," or "You're welcome."
Sorry? That was a bad joke. You're welcome.
That's very good. But did you ever notice that in the States, they don't say that anymore? They say, "Uh-huh."
Yeah, I figured that the first two options were American, and number 3 was the Canadian way of saying or son bitch.
You are so analytical. I mean, I'm just trying to get you to just do the test like as a real person, but you're just like you're analyzing chances, and well, I guess that's what you do with the test.
Okay, give me the next one. Come on.
Okay. So, number 2. In Canada, Beyonce's husband's name is pronounced Jay-Z, Jay-Z.
This is like a dad joke. Everyone knows that in Canada it's pronounced Jay-Z.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
What is the plural of the second person personal pronoun? Use guys, y'all, or motherfuckers?
This is very hard. I mean, I think that, I'm going to go with use guys.
That's very good. Good. You're winning. Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay.
You've been asked to Netflix and chill. What will you do? 1, watch an audiovisual program on a television set. 2, take off your underpants. 3, all of the above.
I mean, that assumes that I wear underpants at all, but I'm going to say all of the above. All of the above.
It just shows you how dated this show is. I mean, a television set. A television set. Oh, my God. Coming to you live from 1959, the first podcast in the world. Okay. What is the correct spelling of the word color in Canada?
Oh, okay.
C-O-L-O-R, C-O-L-O-U-R, B, and W.
Okay, I'm going to answer this question correctly, but I have to tell you, I find that number 2, which is the right answer, C-O-L-O-U-R, I just find that the U is completely unnecessary. We all know what we're talking about without the U.
Okay, so in Canada, a hoser is a firefighter, an irrigation specialist, Canada's version of American white trash.
I love all of those. Can we say D, all of the above?
Do it. He's in
Well, yeah, you could say D, but it only goes up to C. Oh, I see what you're saying, D. So yeah, okay, got it.
1, 2, 3, D.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Canada's version of American white trash, but I love the other 2 options.
Thank you. A loony is a 1, mentally unstable coworker. 2, an increment of Canadian money generally valued at 78 cents American. 3, half of a toonie. 4, all of the above.
All of the above, however, the even more correct answer would be number 2, an increment of Canadian money generally valued around 78 cents American.
Excellent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You did well.
That was a trick question. Thank you. So I can stay. I passed the immigration test then?
It was a trick question. It was a crappy questionnaire.
Well, I think we've talked about this before, where there's certain tests that people have to take when they're coming into the country that some Canadians would not be able to pass. So it is.
That's for sure.
Right? So it is comforting to me that I know something about our country.
No, you did very well. And I tell you something, in preparation for this particular episode, I did take some sample language tests. The language tests are given by independent companies. They're not given by the government. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I do have my grade 9, but
your grade 9 what? Your grade 9 like learning how to speak English? Is that what you're?
No, my grade 9 diploma.
Oh, your grade 9 diploma, right?
What
is that?
What?
Is that the document that they give you when they expel you from school?
This is really getting to be kind of edgy and kind of cruel, and I'm very proud.
Sorry, you grew up on PEI, so yes, the grade 9 diploma.
Yeah, I have it. Okay.
Just
chill on the fucking diploma, man.
Okay, let's go for it.
I just want to say, so we did the test. I did this language test that they give, immigrants, mm-hmm. And I mean, it's surprising because there's a lot of stuff about comprehension, and the comprehension stuff is not that easy.
It's not comprehensible?
It's not comprehensible when you have your grade 9. I was impressed. Okay, look, if you played along with the test at home or wherever you're listening to the podcast and you got 2 out of 7, you can teach Canadian studies at Princeton. If you got 5 out of 7, you will receive your approved Canadian citizenship in the mail once you subscribe to this podcast on the platform of your choice. Bienvenue au Canada.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, Canada.
If you scored 8 out of 8, you are very smart, but way too ambitious, way too American. We don't appreciate that kind of striving in these parts.
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? You fail? Sorry. The rest of you will have to retake the test because Striver here fucked up the grading curve for everyone else.
You know, the easiest way to get into Parliament is people think that you're a snob or you're too smart. In a lot of small places, they send away the person they don't actually like.
I had never heard that before.
No, I'm serious. They do. It's like if they like the candidate too much, they don't want them to leave.
Yeah, that's very funny.
So beyond the rigors of study, and I just, I don't give a fuck what my American spell check says about it. Rigor is spelt with U up here. R-I-G-O-U-R.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know how this all starts, right? Worldwide American dominance, American exceptionalism. The spell checker on our studio equipment is programmed in the U.S.
And we don't have a studio. Do we?
Okay. No, but I'm American, and I am recording this podcast in my closet, but because of the American exceptionalism, which is a gene cluster that I was born with, I have the right to call it a studio. When I click on the studio computer icon called Canadian English, it still spells in American.
What?
Yep. Imagine how Francophone Canadians felt when the World Wide Web decided it didn't like all those silly little accents they toss indiscriminately around their letters.
Okay, I was making a point before I was interrupted by an American. Beyond the rigors, R-I-G-O-U-R-S, of study, the best way to understand Canadian slang is to watch Canadian feature films. And this is not as easy as you might think. Wait, how can that be? I hear you ask. Aren't Toronto and Vancouver nicknamed Hollywood North? Well, yes, this is where American studios come to make their films because they get Canadian tax breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And the American dollar is worth more. And we have developed an excellent little people film industry.
Yeah, your studios come up here with your big stars, your top billed directors, your casting agents, your directors of photography and designers, and we supply the day players, the assistant camera operators, the cables, and some snacks. We can easily make Toronto look like New York by dumping a shit ton of U.S.-style prop garbage on our clean streets and painting all the cabs yellow. Oh yeah, and teaching all the extras how to hork on the sidewalk.
Hork.
Yep, send in the hork, coach. It's so easy. So when you're done shooting your big blockbuster American picture, you take it back to America and you do all your post-production there.
Rolling!
Sound speed.
And action!
We, on the other hand, make our films here. We tell Canadian stories, or we're supposed to anyway, but we're so hungry for an international hit, we tell universal Canadian stories. Nothing too Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always work. Don't get me wrong, great films are made in Canada by Canadians. We have amazing writers, actors, directors, DOPs, you name it. The talent up here is awesome, but domestic films only occupy, this is crazy, 1.5% to 2% of our national screens. The rest is all your blockbusters, your film franchises, and the odd wannabe art film. Can you believe that? 1 to 2% of our own screens held by Canadian releases? The marketing campaign for a Canadian film release does not last as long as this sentence.
Wow, great campaign, Mio.
Was that nice?
That was beautiful. I was moved. I'm going to go see that picture. French films in Quebec do a little better, but not much. The Canadian government invests more than $100 million a year in a film agency called Telefilm, which is responsible for assisting in domestic film production and marketing in both English and French Canada. Additionally, film producers can receive tax credits, which are actually cash payments based on a complicated formula of labor hired, location of the production, and the digestive difficulties of a mid-level film bureaucrat.
In fact, when you get the money, they actually hand it to you in an envelope. It's called an envelope.
It is called an envelope. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hand you cash, though.
Oh, they don't? I thought they hand you an envelope full of cash.
No. That's Bruno, who's helping you finance your porn film, is giving you a... Yes. Okay, Toronto hosts one of the biggest and most important film festivals in the world. It's called the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, and it transforms Toronto into a sycophantic burg of fans struck by American and British actors. Now, I need to set the record straight here. I am not an actor, though I have occasionally played one on TV. So it's not like I'm filled with the petty jealousies of a preening mid-level Canadian star. But you know, Toronto, there are actors who live there year-round. Some of them are actually very talented and somewhat well-known. But the way it's played at the Toronto International Film Festival, you'd think the Torontonians who line up in the sun for hours and hours just to get a glimpse of a DiCaprio or an Aniston have never actually seen an actor in their natural red-carpeted habitat.
If you can actually find a Canadian film, study the slang and the vocal tics carefully. It'll help you ace your immigration test. Forget about it.
No, Mio. It's pronounced, forget about it, eh? Thanks for listening to the independent podcast, Yes We Canada. Hit subscribe or like on your favorite platform, and there's a new episode every Tuesday night. You can join the discussion on Twitter at Yes We Canada Pod, and if you're so inclined, writing a kind review is also greatly appreciated. I know, we sound needy, don't we? Well, as we say up here in Canada, sorry. Thanks for listening. See you next week.